What if I told you that for decades, we've been getting mental health almost completely wrong? Seriously, that we've been trying to fix these really deep-seated issues with, well, pretty surface-level solutions. Let's dive in, because today we're going to explore a totally revolutionary way to upgrade your life, starting with the very hardware that it runs on.
Okay, so it all boils down to this one simple, powerful idea. Think of your brain as the physical hardware of a computer, and your mind, your thoughts, your feelings, your personality, that's the software running on it. For way too long, society has tried to act like these two things are separate, but they're not. You just can't separate them. The physical, moment-to-moment health of your brain literally creates your mind.
And this quote just nails it, doesn't it? If your brain, the hardware, is struggling, you can't just think your way out of it. The software is going to glitch. It just is. So the big takeaway here is super simple. A healthy mind absolutely has to start with a healthy brain.
So with that in mind, let's talk about the modern world, because this glitch we're talking about, it's showing up in a massive way. We are facing an absolute epidemic of unhappiness. And the data, well, it's pretty shocking. According to the research, depression rates tripled, not doubled, tripled in just 6 months, from February to August of 2020. People have called this the unhappiest we've been since the Great Depression. But why? What's going on?
Well, it turns out there's this weird modern paradox at play. We have more access to pleasure than any humans in history, but it's actually making us miserable. See, we're constantly dumping dopamine with these high-intensity, fast-crash pleasures, right? Think junk food, social media binges. And this literally wears out our brain's pleasure centers. The alternative? What's called dripping dopamine, through sustainable, small moments of fulfillment, things like genuine connection or just being out in nature. So, if the problem starts with the hardware, well, it's pretty obvious where the solution has to start too. And that brings us to our next step, upgrading our physical brain, protecting the hardware.
First things first, you have to respect the hardware. Your brain isn't some invincible command center. It's incredibly soft. We're talking about the consistency of butter. And it's just sitting in this hard skull that's lined with sharp, bony ridges. This vulnerability is why there are 3 million new concussions every single year in the US alone. And those injuries are a huge driver of things like depression and addiction.
And the threats aren't just physical impacts either. There are 3 really common things that are actively making your brain age faster. First, a huge study of over 62,000 brain scans found that marijuana was the second worst driver of brain aging, right behind schizophrenia. Next up is alcohol, which is directly linked to a shrinking brain volume. And finally, there's the standard American diet. All that processed sugar, it acts like a biohazard for your brain's function.
Okay, so, with all these threats looming, what can we actually do about it? How do we even start the upgrade process?
Well, the very first step is to completely rethink your relationship with food. So instead of asking, what do I want right now, which, let's be honest, is a 4-year-old's mindset, ask yourself, how do I want to feel later? This one simple question reframes everything. It helps you see if your food choices are like a supportive partnership that gives you energy and clarity, or more like an abusive one that leaves you with brain fog and fatigue. Next up, let's talk about the nutrient upgrade. We can actually use specific supplements to target our brain chemistry. Take Saffron, for example. 24 different trials have shown it can be just as effective as Prozac for improving mood. Then you've got omega-3s, which are absolutely crucial for the physical structure of your nerve cells. And finally, something called theanine, which you find in green tea. It can give you this calm, focused feeling without the jitters you get from caffeine. And please, don't forget physical maintenance. A recent discovery actually found that people who play racquet sports live up to 16% longer than runners. So why is that? Well, think about it. Sports like tennis or pickleball or even table tennis require really complex coordination. You're calculating speed, spin, and angle all at once, which gives your cerebellum, a key part of your brain, an absolutely amazing workout.
All right, so once your hardware is protected and fueled up, then you can start debugging the software. This is all about managing your thoughts and processing your past.
And let's be super clear here. We are not aiming for toxic positivity. In fact, there was a 90-year study that found the whole "don't worry, be happy" crowd. They actually died earliest from preventable accidents. The real goal is accurate thinking, using a healthy amount of anxiety as a safeguard to help you make better decisions. The key is you shouldn't just blindly believe every single thought that pops into your head.
A really simple tool for this is learning to kill your ants. That stands for automatic negative thoughts. It's a 4-step process. First, you just catch the thought whenever you feel sad or nervous. Second, you write it down. Third, you interrogate it. You ask yourself, is this thought actually true? And fourth, you flip it by considering if the exact opposite might be true. This little process helps you master your own mind, so you're not just a victim of your own psychological static.
But sometimes the software glitches, they run a lot deeper. For people with a high score of what are called adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs, the increased risk of suicide is, wait for it, 1,200%.
Yeah, past trauma can act like actual corruption in your system files. The ACE scores is a simple 10-question test that can help diagnose it. And amazing therapies like EMDR, that's eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, can help the brain reintegrate those traumas. It moves them from a state of constant distress into just a memory, which lets you finally live in the present.
Okay, wow, we've covered a ton. The hardware, the software, so let's bring it all together into a simple daily user manual you can start using right away.
This right here, this is the mother of all habits. Seriously, before you eat something, drink something, do anything, just take 3 seconds and ask yourself this one question. Is this good for my brain or is it bad for it? And you know what's amazing? You already know the answer. A second grader can get this right 95% of the time. You just have to remember to ask the question.
And finally, you can actually prime your subconscious mind. Your subconscious is always listening to your conscious mind. So the moment your feet hit the floor in the morning, program it by saying out loud, "Today is going to be a great day." And then, right before bed, go on a little treasure hunt. Ask yourself, what went well today? This forces your brain to scan for all those positive little moments, which improves your sleep and your whole long-term outlook.
Which brings us to our final and maybe most important truth. There's this common idea out there that focusing on your own happiness is somehow selfish or, just fluff. That could not be more wrong. Your brain health and your mood are contagious. They really do impact everyone around you. So healing your brain, it's actually an act of service.
So I'll just leave you with this question to think about. If your state of mind literally ripples out and touches your partner, your kids, your friends, and your colleagues, then isn't taking care of your brain one of the most important responsibilities you have? Something to consider. Thanks for tuning in.